Magnificent jewellery with a great history. Queen Desideria's malachite. Parure, an underrated treasure. There are many jewels in the world that remain undervalued. They are striking in their appearance, but due to their high cost and rarity, they are rarely seen in everyday life. Such rarities include the malachite parure of the Swedish Queen Desideria. This parure consists of a tiara, a necklace, a brooch, 2 bracelets, and a pair of earrings. It looks like a standard set of jewellery, but its main advantage is the cameos made of malachite, with images of scenes from ancient Greek mythology. For example, on the necklace you can see Hercules, the god of medicine Asclepius, and his daughter Hygeia. Every detail of the parure is symbolic. The central cameo of the tiara symbolises the day, and the brooch, the night. The parure was created in the 1820s and 1830s by the Parisian jeweller Simon Petitot. Its first owner was Queen Desideria of Sweden and Norway. However, there is no evidence that she ever wore these ornaments. After her death, the parure was inherited by Josephine of Lichtenberg, the wife of Desideria's son, Oscar the Fair. Her next appearance is with Sophia of Nassau, wife of Oscar II. After Sophia's death in 1913, her heirs transferred the miniature to the Northern Museum. Perhaps this was due to the fact that it was considered outdated for everyday wear. The parure is now owned by the Queen's great-granddaughter, Desiree de Rosenborg. Timur's ruby necklace, an exquisite piece of jewellery that remained unclaimed. The history of this jewellery begins with its main stone, a unique spinel weighing 352.5 carats. One of the first owners of the stone was the great conqueror Tamerlane. Then it passed to his descendants, and the names of some of them are inscribed on the stone. For several centuries, spinel has been passing from one treasury to another. It belonged to the Persian Shahs and Mughal emperors, having witnessed many wars, falls, and rebirths of states. In the autumn of 1851, the stone appeared in Great Britain for the first time. It was presented at the World's Fair in the Indian Room, and then the head of the East India Company presented the Queen with a collection of stones, including spinel, as a sign of appreciation. The Queen was delighted with the gift, and the spinel lay uncut for only 2 years. In 1853, the Garrard Jewellery Company created an exquisite Oriental-style necklace for her. The necklace was made of gold and decorated with large diamonds. Spinel surrounded by transparent stones became the central element. 2 unusual rubies complemented the composition, and the clasp was also decorated with spinel. All 4 stones were surrounded by delicate diamond pendants. 2 months later, the jewellers started making changes to the necklace. First of all, they made the spinel mount more convenient so that it could be worn as a brooch or removed. There was also a place for the Koh-i-Noor diamond in the necklace, which made it even more spectacular. The emerald parure of Queen Margherita of Savoy is one of the most impressive pieces of jewellery of the Italian monarchs. It features high-quality stones and a spectacular combination of emeralds, diamonds, and pearls. In addition to its aesthetic value, the parure also has significant historical significance. The jewellery set, including a tiara, necklace, brooch, and earrings, was created by the Austrian master Del Sotto. The tiara had a massive design with a central square emerald and several smaller stones. The necklace had a similar design, the central part of which could be removed and worn as a corsage decoration. The necklace consisted of 5 emeralds, the largest of which weighed 47.7 carats, and a pendant with a teardrop-shaped stone. The brooch was a 2-piece with crystals surrounded by 2 rows of medium-sized diamonds. The earrings were large square emeralds with massive pendants. King Carl Albert acquired this parure in 1841 for his daughter-in-law, the Austrian Archduchess Maria Adelaide, who later became Queen of Sardinia. Unfortunately, not a single portrait of Queen Margaret in this miniature has been preserved, but the emeralds probably went well with her black hair and snow-white skin. After the wedding, Adelaide presented the parure to her daughter-in-law Margherita. The new owner was a big lover of jewellery and often redid old jewellery. The tiara was disassembled and converted into a new hair ornament when Margherita's son married Elena Chernogorskaya. Alexandra of Denmark's jewellery collection had many beautiful pieces, but one of them stood out not only for its beauty, but also for its fascinating history. We are talking about the Dagmar pearl necklace, which the princess received from her uncle for the wedding. Frederick VII ordered this exquisite piece of jewellery from the court jeweller Julius Diedrichson back in 1863. The necklace consists of 118 pearls and 2,000 diamonds. The pearls are both round and pear-shaped and also vary in size. In the center of the necklace is a pendant in the form of a cross with images of saints. This pendant is made in a unique technique of cloison enamel, which was not available to all jewelers of that time. Interestingly, the jeweler was inspired by a Byzantine cross from the 11th century, found in the tomb of Queen Dagmar of Bohemia. Thanks to this discovery, Denmark has a tradition of giving similar crosses to girls at baptism and girls before the wedding. Alexandra of Denmark appreciated her uncle's gift and decided to modernize it a little. The central element of the necklace was made removable, which allowed the princess to use it as two separate ornaments. She wore the brooch to her coronation, but after that she forgot about it for a long time. The next appearance of the necklace in public occurred already in the 20th century, when Elizabeth II put it on. The current queen, known for her love of pearls and luxurious jewellery, perfectly complemented her look with this magnificent necklace. The forgotten tiara. For a long time, the general public was unaware of Alexandra Feodorovna's other sapphire jewellery. However, in 2020, the Hermitage hosted an exhibition featuring another exquisite sapphire tiara that belonged to the last empress. This tiara was created in the workshop of the famous jeweller Carl Fabergé. It was probably a gift from Nicholas II for some significant event. Alexandra Fyodorovna collected her personal jewellery collection in this way. Her mother-in-law, Maria Feodorovna, refused to hand over the Romanov crown jewels to her daughter-in-law, which greatly upset Alexandra Feodorovna. As a consolation, Nicholas II often gave her jewellery ordered with his own funds. Among them were parades, necklaces, tiaras, and other jewellery. When Nicholas II became emperor, he decided to give the women of his family memorable gifts. Carl Fabergé's company has received an order to create 18 luxury brooches. The total cost of these products was about 67,000 rubles. Each brooch had a unique design, and their prices varied. The most expensive diamond jewellery was given to the senior representatives of the Romanov family. They were miniature copies of the great imperial crown, decorated with laurel wreaths and solemn ribbons. In 1896, the princesses and princesses received their imperial brooches. 14-year-old Grand Duchess Elena Vladimirovna, the granddaughter of Alexander II, especially appreciated her gift from her cousin. She kept photographs and memories of miniature crowns, which became part of her family history. She later married Prince Nicholas of Greece and bore him 4 children. Emperor Nicholas II ordered 15 such brooches for young ladies, and 3 remained in the imperial office. Unfortunately, the fate of another Fabergé creation remains unknown. This is a necklace with a string of Ceylon sapphires that belonged to Princess Alice of Greece, the mother of Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh. This jewellery was a wedding gift from her aunt and uncle, Nicholas II, and Alexandra Feodorovna. The Connaught tiara is one of the most striking and elegant pieces of jewellery in the Swedish royal collection. It evokes romantic associations with its lightness and lightness. This jewel often appears on titled ladies, which makes her story particularly interesting. The tiara was brought to Sweden in 1905 along with Princess Margaret of Connaught. Margaret, the niece of King Edward VII of England, and her sister were considered the most beautiful brides of their time. Their marriages were beneficial for the royal dynasties, but in the case of Margherita, everything turned out differently. Her husband became the future King of Sweden, Gustavus Adolphus, Duke of Skåne, and the young people sincerely fell in love with each other. The Connaught tiara was a wedding gift for Margherita from her parents. Perhaps that is why she radiates warmth and tenderness, because her owner was happy on her wedding day in the chapel of Windsor Castle. Soon after, Margherita took the jewel to Sweden, and since then it has always been a part of the royal family's life. Sibylla inherited the tiara from her son, King Carl XVI Gustaf. His wife, Queen Sylvia Sommerlath, also often wore this jewellery. Sylvia wore the tiara as a necklace to performances at the Royal Opera House and other official events. Sylvia's daughters also like to wear the Connaught tiara. Princess Madeleine often uses it as a necklace, and at the wedding of her sister, Princess Victoria, she wore it in the form of a tiara. The tradition of giving the princesses of Denmark their first tiaras on coming of age is a wonderful custom that allows young people to feel like real queens. Queen Ingrid, known for her love of jewellery, made sure that her daughters received truly beautiful tiaras. On April 16, 1958, Princess Margrethe wore her tiara for the first time. At that time, she was preparing for the future she was about to become the first female monarch of Denmark. Her diamond tiara once belonged to her grandmother, Queen Alexandrina. Margrethe continued to wear this tiara after ascending to the throne. For example, in 1979, she used it during the visit of Queen Elizabeth II of Great Britain. Later, Margrethe presented this tiara to her son's fiancée, Alexandra Manley. After Alexandra's divorce, the tiara remained with her and continues to appear at royal events. On April 29, 1962, Princess Benedicta received a new diamond tiara with floral motifs made especially for her. Inspired by Queen Alexandrina's brooch, this tiara has become her favourite piece of jewellery. On August 30, 1964, Princess Anne-Marie came of age. A tiara was made for her from the antique corsage jewellery of Queen Victoria of Sweden, her great-grandmother. Anna Maria wore her tiara only once, when she was still a princess. On September 18, 1964, she married Prince Philip and became Queen of Greece. Amazing emerald brooch and pearl earrings by Margherita of Savoy. Margherita of Savoy was known for her love of pearls. Her collection included sea pearls of various sizes and shapes. She skillfully combined them with other jewellery, creating luxurious and elegant looks. The earrings presented by Umberto I became her calling card. The design of these earrings was quite simple, which allowed them to be perfectly combined with any pair. They consisted of large diamonds, to which pearl pendants were attached. Most often Margherita wore them with an emerald parure, which was quite bulky. These earrings were more comfortable and fit the design. Pearl earrings were so dear to Margherita that they became her calling card, and even her statue in Bordighera wears this pair. Margherita bequeathed the earrings to her daughter-in-law Elena Chernogorskaya, but they have not survived to this day. Most likely they were sold along with the emerald brooch. The emerald brooch was also a gift from Umberto I. He ordered it in 1879 for his wife as an additional element to her emerald parure. The brooch was made in the same style and perfectly matched with other jewellery. In the centre of the brooch sparkled a large emerald surrounded by small diamonds. Then there were larger transparent and green crystals, which formed the image of a fantasy flower. Their junctions were filled with tiny diamonds. If the brooch had been left in this form, it would still have been beautiful, but the jewellers went further. Since Margherita adored pearls, a pearl pendant with an unusual shape was attached to the main element of the brooch. Two more slightly shorter pendants with diamond drops hung nearby. The king was well aware of his wife's preferences and sought to please her. Margherita was happy to wear this brooch both with the main brooch and on her own. Together with pearl earrings, she made a delightful set. The emerald brooch was among the jewels that Elena Chernogorskaya inherited in her will. Elena Chernogorskaya adopted her mother-in-law's love of pearls and was happy to wear jewellery. Until 1971, the brooch and earrings remained in the possession of the descendants of the Savoy dynasty. However, that year the family put them up for auction and sold them for $130,000. Hope's diamond and Cartier's trick: how to overcome the curse of the stone. Cursed stones always arouse interest and fear. One of these stones is the Hope diamond, surrounded by myths and legends. Jeweller Pierre Cartier, despite all the warnings, decided that its size and beauty would attract buyers, even if the stone has a bad reputation. In 1910, he began searching for someone who would like to purchase this gemstone. The story of the Hope diamond. The Hope diamond is probably part of a huge 115-carat blue diamond. In the 17th century, the merchant Tavernier brought it to France, where local jewellers divided it into several parts. One of them, known as the Blue Frenchman, belonged to the French kings for a long time, but disappeared after the Revolution. The Hope diamond appeared in the middle of the 19th century and became famous for its resemblance to the Blue Frenchman. However, it also acquired a bad reputation due to the misfortunes that plagued its owners. According to legend, the diamond decorated the statue of the goddess Sita. The thief who tried to steal it was struck by lightning, but Tavernier still had the stone. Tavernier lost his entire fortune and died in Russia from the cold. After that, the diamond began to bring misfortune to the French monarchy. For example, Louis XIV's favourite, Madame de Montespan, received it as a gift, but soon lost the king's favour and ended up in a monastery, where she died. Louis XIV, although he did not believe in a curse, preferred not to touch the stone. However, one day he decided to demonstrate it to the Shah of Persia, which led to his death. Queen Marie Antoinette, wife of Louis XVI, began wearing the Hope diamond and also gave it to her friend the Princess of Lamballe to try on. However, the fate of the royal couple was sealed. They were executed by guillotine, and the princess was torn apart by a mob. After that, the diamond was locked in a chest, but Marie Antoinette took it out again and started wearing it. Pierre Cartier bought the Hope diamond in 1910, believing it would be the perfect addition to his collection of large jewels. However, the sale of large stones always involves great financial risks. Cartier knew that it was possible to return the invested funds only by finding a buyer. The value of the Hope diamond was 500,000 francs. To achieve this goal, Cartier chose a young American woman, Evelyn Walsh McLean. She was the heiress of the owner of America's largest gold mines and the wife of the owner of the Washington Post, Ned McLean. Evelyn loved jewellery and could afford almost anything. Cartier offered her to buy the Hope diamond during her visit to Paris. He was sure that she would not be deterred by either the stone's notoriety or its high value. The Romanov dynasty has been collecting jewellery for centuries, which is perhaps difficult to find an equal to it. Each piece of jewellery had its own unique history and unique appearance. We can judge this by the images of the monarchs and the few artifacts that have survived to this day. The history of the dynasty ended in an instant when the events of 1917 turned the fate of the whole country upside down. Many had to flee, leaving all the property of the new government, and some did not succeed. Even before his imprisonment, the emperor hid some of the treasures in the Ipatiev house, which the Bolsheviks did not suspect for a long time. In 1922, searches began in churches and monasteries. During the interrogations, the investigators became aware of the valuables hidden in the St. John's convent. Shortly before the revolution, Alexandra Feodorovna gave some of her jewellery to the abbess, hoping to save at least something. The abbess herself died before the interrogation, and the Bolsheviks had to learn about the treasure from the nun Martha. The valuables were in barrels under the house of industrialist Kornilov, where they were discovered. The blood-soaked crystals did not bring happiness to those who found them. There are still rumors about the curse associated with the Romanov diamonds, which are better not to touch. Thorough searches were carried out in all the palaces, and the royal treasures were collected in one room resembling a magical treasury. Huge first-class diamonds, magnificent rubies and emeralds the size of pigeons' eggs, snow-white pearls. The Bolsheviks, who had never seen such riches before, could not believe their eyes. When the collection began to be sorted, 2 American journalists were allowed to take a look at it. Later, they shared their impressions, unable to find words to describe all this splendor. There are 154 items on the official lists, including unique tiaras, luxury necklaces, watches, and a variety of tableware items. The Bolsheviks got a 100-carat diamond, a large crescent-shaped brooch presented to the emperor by the Turkish Sultan, and much more. But despite the scale of the collection found, it was only a fraction of what the emperor owned. The jewels of the British Queen pale before the splendor and variety of jewellery from the casket of the Russian monarchs. Catherine II was one of the most prominent collectors of jewellery. With her, the fashion for diamonds has reached incredible proportions. Not only the Queen, but all the nobility sought to impress others with the size and quantity of precious stones. I'll start with diamond earrings in the shape of cherries. Imagine huge crystals that perfectly match the magnificent hairstyle and luxurious dress of the Queen. This sight must have impressed the high society. Next, let's pay attention to the spectacular big bouquet brooch. Its base is made of gold and silver, and the buds are decorated with huge Brazilian diamonds weighing 14 carats. The delicate foliage is made of first-class emeralds with a total weight of 50 carats. The purple-tinged central flower is a unique diamond with an unusual cut that exactly follows the shape of the bud. Interestingly, all the other crystals were transparent, but the master made them coloured with a special foil. Each inflorescence is attached to a tiny spring, which gives it vivacity when moving. Diamond stud in the form of a cornucopia, created by Master L. Duval and presented to the Queen around 1775 to 1780. Diamond flowers look voluminous due to the special cut and arrangement of the stones. This is an amazing example of the work of a famous jeweller. Another decoration is a bright, juicy berry, presented to Catherine II by Gustav III in 1777 as a sign of affection and strong friendship. The purple bunch is made of tourmaline. The master turned the crystal into ripe, mouth-watering berries that exude the summer sun and sweet fragrance. The luxurious stone weighs just over 255 carats. At the base of the pendant, the master placed chiseled gold leaves covered with green enamel and made a loop for a chain from the stem. Upon closer inspection, you can notice the thin golden tendrils that add even more charm to the decoration. It would be interesting to see this decoration on the Empress herself, but I have not found any similar images. Diamonds have always been a favourite piece of jewellery for members of the British royal family. One of the most significant among them is the necklace of King Faisal, the first owner of this magnificent jewellery. Even in the photo, it looks impressive, but in reality, it probably dazzles with its beauty. The jewellery was created by the famous craftsman Harry Winston in 1952. Initially, it was kept in a jewellery company and attracted attention with its impressive collection of first-class diamonds. For about 15 years, the necklace was not worn until it was purchased by the ruler of Saudi Arabia, Faisal. It is thanks to him that the decoration got its name. In 1967, the king arrived in Britain on an official visit and presented this magnificent piece of jewellery to Queen Elizabeth II. The Queen was fascinated by the beauty of the stones and often wore the necklace to special occasions. The necklace consists of baguette-cut stones, followed by a series of precious half-arcs with teardrop crystals. In total, more than 350 diamonds, with a total weight of 84 carats, were used. Who was wearing the necklace? The necklace was popular not only with Queen Elizabeth II, it was also worn by the Princess of Wales and the Countess of Wessex, which surprised the public, as Elizabeth II rarely gave jewellery from her collection to her daughters-in-law. For example, the Countess of Wessex wore a necklace to the Duke of Luxembourg's pre-wedding dinner. She also wore Elizabeth's small aquamarine tiara, which aroused additional interest. Small aquamarine tiara. The tiara consists of 5 large elements resembling flowers. The swirls are covered with diamonds, and in the center of each inflorescence is a large rectangular aquamarine. Precious elements are fixed on the hairpins and rise above the hair, giving the decoration lightness and lightness. The small aquamarine tiara first appeared with the Queen in 1970 during her official visit to Canada. At that time, the Brazilian aquamarine parure was already in the British Treasury, and the new tiara successfully complemented it. In the Victorian era, the appearance of men has undergone significant changes. They gradually abandoned massive jewellery in favour of more restrained and practical accessories. The gentlemen followed a strict dress code and chose jewellery appropriate to their status. A typical men's set included cufflinks, a tie clip, and a watch. Some men continued to wear massive gem-encrusted rings, buckles, and other luxury accessories, but this was the exception rather than the rule. Decorations have become more concise and stylish. The men wore pins, pointed rods about 3 inches long with decorative elements. These pins were used to fix ties, scarves, and other items of clothing. The decor could be very different, from precious stones to simple metal balls, depending on the wealth of the owner. Men didn't have many ways to express themselves, and they used every opportunity to stand out. For example, Prince Albert used to attach various key rings to his watch chain. Fashionistas wore medallions with their most intimate possessions, strands of hair, fragments of their lover's hair, and other sentimental souvenirs. These things were often hung from the clock. In the Victorian era, equestrian sports, hunting, and related accessories were very popular. Every self-respecting gentleman had cufflinks and pins with images of wild animals and dogs. The figures and pictures were made very realistic and covered with coloured enamels. Trophies such as bird paws and animal teeth were also turned into ornaments. Men were proud of such things and showed them off at every opportunity. Queen Victoria once wrote in her diary, "My dear husband has great taste in jewellery." She especially admired the emerald tiara that Prince Albert personally created to please his wife. Prince Albert, despite Victoria's strict upbringing, surrounded her with love and attention. He gave her what she had missed as a child. She felt like a real beauty. Albert decided to give his wife a gift that would be remembered for the rest of his life. He created an exquisite emerald and diamond tiara, which became a symbol of their love. Court jeweller Joseph Kitching helped the prince to give the stones the perfect shape so that they sparkled with all shades. The tiara was not just an ornament, but a work of art. It was more delicate and graceful than other headdresses, with airy golden curls and a multitude of diamonds surrounding diamond-shaped emeralds. When Victoria wore this tiara, her eyes seemed even deeper and more expressive, and the large emeralds attracted the attention of all courtiers and guests. The tiara became part of the Queen's best emerald parure, which included a necklace, pendant earrings, and corsage jewellery. When the royal family was preparing to pose for a portrait in 1846, Albert knew that Victoria would wear this particular tiara. The prince not only defined the rules of conduct for the courtiers, but also took care of the appearance of his wife. He asked her to wear emerald jewellery for family portraits, and Victoria always agreed, realising that her husband knew what he was doing. Over time, Albert began to impose strict rules at court. The outfits were supposed to be modest, and the behaviour was restrained. Victoria wore closed dresses resembling old ladies, and almost never appeared in precious jewellery outside the palace. Her hairstyle was always covered by a huge hood.